Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Today's video is the fourth, I believe, installment into my Mastering the V2 series, which is essentially where I try and get a V2 with any and all the guns in the game separately. So, if you don't already know, I've already done the MP40, the STG, and the BAR, or the BAR, which is actually probably just what it's called. As you can tell by this gameplay, this one is with the DP27, probably my favourite LMG to use. As you can tell, it's the first LMG I managed to get a V2 with. So yeah, if you've missed any of the previous episodes, I have left it in a playlist down below. So make sure you guys check out the other ones if you've missed it for the MP40, STG, or BAR. Before we get into the gameplay and eventually what the score was and stuff, I just want to say apologies for the lack of uploading recently. I've not been loving the game like I usually do on COD. However, apparently League play or some form of rank play is going to be available around the 14th of February, Valentine's Day. So for those of you who've got misses out there, you're probably not going to be able to play it till the 15th. However, there's probably a bunch of you managing to jump on the 14th, and I am envious. I'll probably be one of those guys jumping on the 15th. But yeah, that's exciting. I'll probably be uploading far more consistently when that comes round. I am trying to play... I think the difficulty I'm having is that I'm trying to play a variety of games. So I'm playing Vanguard, I'm playing Halo, I'm playing Apex, I'm trying to play a bit of Cold War, which means I'm not really able to get any decent gameplays on any of the above, simply due to the fact that I'm just not putting the grind in. I do enjoy Vanguard pubs, but when it gets to GBs and stuff, it's not quite as entertaining to win because I do... the team I play with, I am sort of the guy to get time. I'm sort of the guy to hold hill, get time, and as a result, I die quite a lot, and that's not entertaining for you guys to watch. I understand, which is why I don't post that many GB gameplays at the moment, unless we play absolute shitters, in which case we all get plenty of kills. But for whatever reason, that's simply not been happening. So unfortunately, the only decent content I can give to you is sort of pubs, and I say decent like in quotation marks because I don't know if you guys even like watching pubs, but hey ho, I enjoy playing it. The challenge I've got going on right now with trying to get a V2 with every gun is quite fun. It'll be interesting to see what happens when I get to the worst sort of guns. I think the ARs and most of the ARs and most of the SMGs are probably going to be fairly easy. I think SMGs are probably harder actually. Than probably some of the LMGs, but hey ho, we'll get into that. The game itself is pretty nice. Obviously, this is a DP20. I think you guys probably thought about this when I had my bar gameplay. You have to play pretty slow with it, unfortunately, because it's simply a fucking gammons. Excuse my French, bloody gammons. It's simply not a run and gun sort of gun. It's a very slow move in, takes a while to ADS, sprints 5 times fairly low, so you already pretty much have to be pre-firing, and when you are aimed in on this gun, you can't really move much, so there's not much maneuverability, which does mean you are pretty stale and stagnant. But don't you worry, I do drop the V2 towards the end of the game, so make sure you guys stay tuned to that. It was quite funny. Whenever I drop a V2, I tend to dip into game chat to see what the other teams say, and their response was something like, "Oh, it's broken. We were winning. That shouldn't be the win." I'm thinking, hang on, you let me get 25 kills without dying against you guys. Albeit I was camping a little bit because, as I say, this gun is not very mobile and the movement with it's absolute trash. But yeah, it was good fun to see the reactions down in the game chat once I'd finished. It was good fun. They were all decent. They weren't slagging me off for hacking or anything like that, which is probably nice to see, even though this gameplay does not warrant those accusations. Yeah, so are we excited for League play / ranked? I know I am. I can't wait. I've been playing a bit of ranked Cold War. I'm struggling to find games, if I'm honest. I'm in the EU lobbies and I'm getting games with like 120 to 150 ping, and it's just not fun. I do play it. I'm not the sort of guy to back out, but I can't get decent gameplays. It seems like I am a whole second behind essentially when it comes to it. But hey ho, excuse me for my voice. It sounds a bit hoarse. It's not COVID, don't worry. It's just, I don't know what it is. Got to be honest. I'm a bit hoarse. I just wanted to, whilst the gameplay's going on in the background, I just wanted to talk through the Kickoff Classic, which was the CDL tournament hosted last weekend. I know it's been a while now. News is gone. And probably you guys have probably discussed it plenty enough. But I just wanted to know your thoughts. Were you happy with the result? The Toronto lads, the EU lads were doing it for us. Getting the dub against Seattle Surge in the final, believe it or not. I was tempted to say spoiler alert, but it's been a week. If you guys don't know, you probably should know. So I think a week's a decent enough time. So first 4 games were Seattle versus London. Seattle managed to smash London. If I'm honest, Seattle were a solid team here, so you don't be surprised at the result. Seattle smashed London. New York beat Boston. I think Boston actually put in a decent fight considering they're a completely new roster. But it was 3-2 to New York Subliners, so they managed to pull out with that. Then it was LA Thieves versus Paris, so that's Envoy teams versus Paris. For those Optic fans out there, they beat them LA Thieves 1-3-1, and then it was Florida versus LA Gorillas, and Florida pulled out a 3-1 bag. So Seattle then eventually played Atlanta FaZe, the previous champs of Call of Duty Cold War, and I believe runners-up for Modern Warfare. They eventually lost 3-1 to Seattle Surge again. I'll tell you, that Seattle Surge team is not to be mocked. It's got a couple of lads from the Challengers, Pred and Sib. Sibilant, as he prefers to be called. And they seem dominant. They're so cracked. They're so young. They're just on it and buzzing. And I think that's what carried them through. So they beat Atlanta FaZe 3-1. New York, who just beat Boston, beat Minnesota 3-0. And then LA Thieves managed to beat Optic Texas. Sad to see for you Optic boys out there, but I was chuffed. I like Octane's a solid character. Once he's joined YouTube, I was pretty chuffed to see him on it. And I like Envoy. I feel a bit bad about the whole situation. So, although it was very mixy and there were some questionable spawns in there from a lot of what I saw in the COD Comp Reddit, I think LA Thieves did deserve to win. It was 3-1 at the end, so they went on through. Toronto ended up beating Florida in the second round. And that leaves the 4 teams in the semi-finals: Seattle versus New York, and then LA Thieves versus Toronto Ultra. Now, Seattle versus New York. Seattle dominated again. I say dominated. It was some games were really close, but Seattle ended up coming on up on top. They played actually really well and managed to get into the final against New York. And then on the other side, obviously, you got Toronto versus LA Thieves. It was 3-2 to Toronto. Those were actually one of the most entertaining games of Call of Duty I've seen on Vanguard, just because of how close it was. One of the hard points, I think LA Thieves lost by 2 points or 2 seconds. So, super close game, really close game. If you have missed any of the series, I would recommend watching that one because it was, as I said, really close. And the amount of skill in that game was just phenomenal. There's a lot of talent on both those teams, in my humble opinion. So, in the final, you've got Toronto and Seattle Surge. And the EU boys, as I've already said, come out on top and beat Seattle Surge 3-1. Yeah, it was good. It was good. Even in the final, the Seattle played pretty well. And it's quite bizarre to see Seattle going from like a bottom tier team to actually getting in the final, beating FaZe, beating New York, beating some really solid teams. Eventually falling to Toronto, but they're the tournament winners at the end of the day, so everyone else probably would have lost to them as well. Some teams that stood out other than Seattle Surge, I think LA Thieves have got a pretty good chance this year, as long as they keep up their momentum. I think a lot of the fans believe that Envoy is probably a weak spot because he goes and flanks, and his KD's obviously not usually that good, but I think he gets the kills that matter. As I said, I'm a bit of a fan of Envoy. I think he's pretty decent. Been following him for a few years, so I'm probably a bit biased. But I think they're doing pretty well. Obviously, Toronto Ultra, considering they really didn't scrim much, they've played phenomenally. And the guys are just cracked. I think they've got a good chance of winning this year. I think, although they didn't too well, obviously Atlanta FaZe probably will end up improving. I think their approach to this was pretty much a warm-up, but there was 30k on the line. So, really, these guys, I know it's not a lot of money to these guys, but it should have been, something to play for, and they should have turned up. I think Boston got a bad rep. I mean, they lost 3-2. They lost 3-2 against New York in round 1. But then New York beat Minnesota 3-0, and then unfortunately lost to Seattle Surge. But I do think Boston, with a bit more grind, a bit more practice together, they can come out through. Optic Texas, you guys are probably going to want to talk about Optic Texas. I think they're a solid team. I don't know. It's a toughie. I'm probably going to say something super controversial, and I think Dashi needs to have a rethink about how he plays. I think he needs to go as the entry when it happens. He shouldn't wait for the subs. I think I don't want to say he plays for his KD, but the guy really should be getting involved a little bit more. I know he gets a lot of kills, and I know he's an AR, so he shouldn't really be the one that's jumping in and getting the kills. But I think he has to. He's getting so many kills, and they're still losing. So it says something. I don't think the kills are as meaningful as they need to be. So yeah, that's my rundown. That's my thoughts. It was very good, interesting watch from my opinion. And if you haven't, as I said, watch the LATs versus Toronto Ultra result. That's going to be the game. As you can tell, the V2 Rockets called in. I go 82. I can't remember how many deaths they got. It was a fairly low amount of deaths, and we ended up winning, even though we were losing by 2 points. That's going to be me. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.